But you are watching live at Rally Round the Natty. My name is Santori Miles. Alongside me is my father, Mark. And today we have a special guest, our first guest of honor, John Sheeran. John, how are you doing?
I'm good, guys. I'm good, Mr. Miles. It's fine. Nice to finally meet you guys.
Yeah,
Something like that.
fantastic. Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, that's kind of his real name. This is not anywhere close to my real name, but we'll roll with it. So, John, we brought you on here because I can kind of talk somewhat intelligently about the draft, not to toot my own horn, but somewhat. My father hates the draft.
Not a fan.
So I brought you here so we could have at least another person talking about the draft today.
Like, I feel like when I get older, I'm definitely going to hate the draft for sure. Is it more like a philosophical hate, like it's un-American, or it's just a waste of time?
No, it's I don't watch a lot of college football.
Yeah.
I watch the Bearcats. I'll watch just a skosh of Ohio State. I'm not a big Ohio State fan. But really, I just kind of lock into the Bearcats, and that's about it. So the majority of these players that are coming through, I haven't heard of most of them. So it's, I don't know. To me, it's kind of like it's like watching the country music awards or something. I don't listen to country music. I see people accepting awards, and I listen to the song. I've never heard it before. It's the same
it's not just that you don't know a lot of these guys. It's that most of these guys aren't going to do crap in the NFL. You know, it's like the hit rate is very low, and I feel like the reason like why I've kind of grown sour on the draft is because we haven't really evolved the discussion process and like determining what makes good NFL players from college, and I feel like we're really not accepting like the new information that we got, and I feel like that's kind of frustrated me to the point where like I don't really take it that seriously anymore. But honestly, like at this time of year, it is a little bit exciting because they're new players that are entering the league, and you have opinions on them, and it always kind of brings you back in for me. But maybe that luster will die off eventually.
It makes it a little bit easier when I see people comp certain players to players that I know from the past.
Yeah.
You know, I think like John Ross was comped to Deshaun Jackson. Didn't really work out like that, but it gave me a feel for, okay, this is the guy they're considering right now.
Right.
Okay. Well, without further ado, John, I know we all kind of know the 10, 15, 20, 50, 100 names that have been discussed with the Bengals. Not to climb the ladder too far there, but it seems like every day there's a new name the Bengals are for sure going to take at 31. Outside of the first round, any sleeper names that you like? I mean, it could be someone that's mocked in the 5th round. It could be a UDFA. Anybody that you really, really like that you hope that we pick up?
You know, I'm interested when they take a receiver. I feel like they will, and it could be as early as the 3rd. It could be as late as the 7th. A couple of guys that like I like, and I'm far from the only person. Like Khalil Sakar, I believe is how you pronounce his name, from Boise State. Like people are at least looking at the numbers, he projects to be like he's coming into the NFL in a similar trajectory as like Stephon Diggs, who was also a 5th round pick out of Maryland, but he was really productive as a young guy. And I think he has return experience as a return man. So maybe him in like the 4th round would be interesting. Bo Melton is another guy in like the 4th or 5th round range from Rutgers. He was so dependent on in Rutgers' offense because the Rutgers and they're trash. So like he was their only like legitimate receiving threat really for a few years. So he has also return man experience, but like they couldn't really risk using him there. But I think both those guys are 4-4 burners. That's really what the Bengals need behind the current receiving core that they have right now. But I just think that position is interesting because obviously you don't need an immediate contributor, but if a guy like Alec Pierce is there in the end of the 3rd round, like I feel like it's hard to pass him up and eventually get him a role in the future. And it makes, the decision to pay or not to pay T. Higgins a little bit easier if you think that he's going to be like a good player. And I think Alec Pierce is going to find a role in the NFL at some point. Receiver is just interesting to me for all those specific purposes because they have a lot of guys right now, but I feel like if you go into the season with the same exact receiving core, you're kind of expecting trouble in case injuries pop up.
Right. I kind of got in a couple Twitter fights where I was like, our receiving core is not as deep as what people think it is. I mean, our first 3 are fantastic, but you're a Jamar Chase injury away from doubling T and bracketing Boyd underneath, and depending on how well the line holds up, because that's still yet to be seen, you could be in trouble. One of the names you said that I really like is Bo Melton out of Rutgers. And it's frustrating because, like you said, he was almost their entire offense. So they used him for deep shots, which I don't necessarily see him being that kind of guy in the NFL. The way I see him being used is how he was used at the Senior Bowl, where he got a couple of those, the jets, the end arounds, the screen game, the underneath stuff. And that's something that the Bengals, in my opinion, they try with Boyd, they try with Chase, but I think they could really benefit from having a guy that specializes in something like that. Just adds another dimension to that offense.
Right. And like I think athleticism is like the most important thing that they need to add because they don't. But as far as like the type of receiver, I feel like they can go in so many directions because you're right. They try to do that gadget stuff with Chase and Boyd and it rarely works out. So to have a guy who has experience with that sort of thing, I think that helps. But they could use a backup to Boyd. They could use a backup to Higgins. They could use a backup to Chase. Like there's no role, I guess, that a receiver drafted shouldn't be able to play. And I know that people were infatuated with Auden Tate and all the things that he did and mostly didn't do in Cincinnati. But I don't really feel like there's a need to replace that big body there. I feel like you can just kind of evolve past thinking like that. So you need someone I feel like that can emulate all three of those guys if need be. And I feel like Melton kind of fits that.
Well, and I think just to kind of do like what my dad was talking about, if you want to like use a prior player comp, the thing that I always kind of go back to is if you look at the 05 team and the 06 team, they had Chad, they had TJ, they had Henry, but they also had a Kelly Washington. To me, this team doesn't have that number 4 Kelly Washington. And that's something that they need to do because, Kelly could come in, I'm not saying that he could produce like Chad or TJ or Henry, but if he needed to spell them for a game or two to injury or even a drive or two, he was a little bit of a Swiss Army knife and he could fill all those voids. So I would really like to see if they could go after in the middle rounds a receiver like that.
And it really comes down to like how much are they valuing that, like adding that. I think Duke Tobin like name dropped Marvin Jones in his presser, or maybe that was Zach Taylor. One of them did, but I feel like that wasn't probably by accident. I think they're looking in that range for that guy. But of course, they have 8 picks, and if you pick a receiver in the 4th or 5th round, you're probably neglecting another position. But this team historically values receivers, and they often take a lot of swings there. So I could definitely see that.
Right. Now, on the flip end, is there anybody that's getting a ton of love in this draft, whether it's number 1 overall or somewhere else that you absolutely loathe?
I mean, I don't know why Trayvon Walker's going 1, but that must be just a bulky thing. It's like, and full disclosure, he's young, he's athletic. I get it. Like you buy into that, but I feel like people just don't understand that like potential and like your ceiling. Like production is also a huge component to that. It's not just about, if a guy's not used to being productive, then he's not going to handle production in the NFL. No, like the very best defensive ends, any position really, the very best all time, the guys who were perennial all pros and Pro Bowls, they were productive in college. And they were productive relative to how productive their team as a whole was. And that, it's the reality for guys like who come from Georgia, Alabama, and Clemson. We could talk about a Clemson guy here in a minute, but he wasn't very productive in that defense. And I understand the scheme is different and everything, but it just makes the projection that much bigger. And I feel like he's going to have a role and he's going to be a decent NFL player. I'm not saying I wouldn't draft him until like day 3, but number 1 is ridiculous to me.
Now, and for those of you that don't know, there's quite a bit of smoke around the idea that Walker might go number 1 overall. And I think it's more the smoke because if you look at the Vegas odds, I think he's the number 2 favorite overall to go number 1, which is crazy when, I don't even know if he's in the top 3 for edge rushers on my board. When you've got Hutchinson and you've got Thibodeau right there. And then on top of that, if you really want to go on the other side of the ball, I can name 3 offensive tackles that I would even consider over him. It's not to say that he's not a first round talent, but I think he might be back end of the first round. I don't know. I know it's their GM. They go for the athlete with the high promise that's a little bit raw. They've done it in the past, but that doesn't make sense at all to me. You got you get the whole draft and Aiden Hutchinson sitting right there, or even Aquanu if you want to go that route, or Evan Neal or Thibodeau, whatever. He seems a little.
Yeah, just in general, like I don't know how you feel about this, but I feel like edge is such a deep and overall great position group, and I feel like Hutchinson is probably good enough to go number one. But I look at that compared to tackles and how it's so top heavy, and how the Jacks could definitely use a tackle. I feel like if I were bulky, I would probably pick Neal or Aquanu, but I can understand Hutchinson. I just can't. The number one pick is such a huge investment, and it's such a big projection with Walker. I just can't get behind it.
Well, the pipe dream for the number one pick is what Burrow did to come in right away and just completely change your franchise around. Walker's not that guy, and that's not a hit on Walker. That's just what it is. And there's not how many Joe Burrows have been drafted truly in the last 20 years? A handful. There's not many. So, and the other thing is, like you were saying, with edge compared to tackle, I created a flow chart that I threw out there, and it was, about the size for ants, just because it was such a big flow chart for the draft. But, one of the first couple positions was, do you need a tackle or an edge? Because this is a passing league. So you either have to protect the pass or you have to attack the pass, whether that's offense or defense, right? And looking at this draft, there's a lot deeper edge, and, you can go third and fourth round and still get a real quality edge rusher in this draft. Tackles, there's a couple that I like, and then there's a lot of guys that they're getting love, but I really think they're projects. Yeah. Like I know the kid from, is it Central Michigan, Rainman?
Mm-hmm.
I mean, everything looks good on tape. He's polished. His grades are well, but he's only played football for what, like 2 years?
Yeah.
So you're going to make the jump for a couple years of football in that conference to going against TJ Watt. That's a jump, man. That scares me.
He's Whitworth's age coming out of college, but he's not Whitworth's size, nor has Whitworth experience. So it's scary for sure.
Right. Yeah. So, I mean, it's just scary. The whole draft. And were you part of the Twitter thing where we all put our mocks together with Blake?
I did. Yeah. I think I voted the picks that ended up being like the actual picks. So
did they?
Yeah.
Well, I disagree with you. I'm sorry. It came out.
What?
I didn't like any of them that came out. I'll be 100% honest.
It wasn't 100% my preference. It was really just like what I think is going to happen. To be honest.
Well, like I know a lot of people are high on him. I don't like Elam at all. I see the way he gets blocked and tries to tackle and gets off of blocks, the physicality underneath, and it bothers me. I see a lot of Dre Kirkpatrick in him downfield, and to some people that could be really, really good, and to some people that scares the crap out of them. And I just think they could do better than Elam. If he's there, I get it, and I'll support the hell out of him while he's here, but that bothers me. I do not like Jeremy Ruckert at all as a tight end. I just don't trust it. To me, he just looks like Drew Sample, and I don't want another Drew Sample.
That's totally fair, though, honestly, when you watch it. But
right, and just what he was asked to do, his level of production, and I know they tested well, but Sample tested very well too, and they just seem very similar.
I knew both Elam and Ruckert were going to be polarizing, which is exactly why I predicted them, because this team just has a tendency to make one decision that just really starts something.
It seems like every year, and it's not every year. Maybe it's every other year, but they've done it enough to where it catches my eye that there's one draft pick early on, and it used to forever, whatever reason, almost be like the second round, where they would make a pick, and I would just look at the TV, and I'm like, what was that? And, the stories come out with Drew Sample, and I feel like I'm dating a little bit going back, but my dad knows what
I know what's coming. Right? Coastal Carolina.
Yeah, Jerome Simpson.
Yeah.
And I was like, and I don't look into it. I didn't look into it then as much as I do now, but there were a couple other guys on the board that I'm sure that I was really, really excited to try and take, and they come out with Jerome Simpson. And to me, Jeremy Ruckert probably falls in that range if they would do that.
Like I try to think, because there was just a handful last year. Like I feel like Tyler Shelvin kind of came out of nowhere. Cam Sample kind of came out of nowhere, and I'm just like, these don't really do it for me necessarily. And like Drew Sample for sure fit that. I try to read up as much about these guys as possible, about like like their personalities and like their intangibles and whatnot, because they really, really value that. And I think at this point, like Sample's in his 4th year, I think he's kind of ascending as like a really popular guy, a leader in that locker room. And that was probably a big reason why it took him that high, because it wasn't because he was an athlete, it wasn't because he was productive at Washington. They had to like something about Sample to take him that high, and I think they really do value just that the mental makeup of these guys, and that's why the team is kind of constructed the way that it is. So I think that's why mock drafts in general are just so inaccurate, because we have no idea necessarily about how these guys interview and what these guys what impressions they make to teams in the Bengals specifically, which is why this is an entire crapshoot.
Right. And I think Joe Goodberry even put it out there because, we did that entire like draft board compendium, if you want to call it whatever it is, his draft sheet.
Yeah.
And I had helped with that this year. And someone even brought up the point of, is there a team captains category? Because that's something that Zach Taylor looks at and he's like, no, but it's probably something we should really add. Because, a lot of those guys you named, I think Sample was one, as a team captain. They go after that stuff. They really value that. And, testament to Zach Taylor, and there aren't a whole lot of people that have ridden him harder than I have over the years, because when things go bad, I lose my mind. But that's one thing he's focused on, is getting his kind of mental makeup, the team captains, the mentally tough guys in there. And maybe that's why Drew Sample stuck around, because he's not as good of a run blocker as we would have hoped. He's definitely not productive in the pass game. And I'm not trying to shit on Drew Sample during this podcast, but he's here for a reason, I guess.
Yeah. And I feel like that's why I feel like, Lapham mentioned Elam as one of the two main options at cornerback, with Booth being the other. And I feel like the reason why I put Elam there is because, one, I think Booth is going to be gone, but two, like Elam's the son of an NFL player. He's the nephew of an NFL player. Like, he was raised kind of in that lifestyle. The Florida coaches like praised him and everything, but more importantly, like, he played his best football as an underclassman, as a freshman and sophomore. While Stingley was doing his thing, like, Elam was kind of right behind him in the same conference, and he definitely didn't leave the best impression, I think, at the end, because he was injured and he just didn't play his best. And that's why I think he's going to be available at 31. He might fall out of the first round entirely. So there's definitely some warts with his game. I know people get on him for being grabby, and I think that's something that he has to clean up. But I think there's just a lot that they would love about Elam to just bring him in and compete with Apple. Maybe not. He may not be good enough to start over him, and that might piss a lot of people off. But I just think there's a lot of things that they're going to like about Elam.
I had a text conversation with my dad and my stepbrother today over how many corners that I think could start over Elam that are going to be, or not Elam, Apple, that are going to be available at 31. I'm like, I'm not sure, because Apple gets shit on a little bit, but he's not as hateful as what everybody in the nation wants you to believe. He can be solid, but with Elam, it's not that I just outright hate him. He's got a lot of tools that I really like. He's longer, he's faster, he's very athletic. He's everything the Bengals a lot of times look for in their prototypical corner. So it wouldn't surprise me at all, but there's just some things that I pray that if he gets here, he polishes up.
Yeah, and maybe that's like, at a certain point, you got to throw Anarumo a bone, I guess, in the draft. And that's why I think we're all expecting defense to be the pick at 31. And if he's this secondary coach, that's how he made his name and rise in the NFL. Like, at a certain point, you expect him to mold some of these guys, because that's another thing with Anarumo to me. Is like, this whole defense is worth $200 million, so it better be freaking competent at the very least. And I think, like, schematically, he conjures up a lot of things, but I would like to see him develop some young talent to see what his worth there. And I think Elam would be a nice project for him.
Well, and DBs have kind of been, like you said, his calling card over his entire career. He did have, I think he had Eli Apple when he was with New York, did he not? So there was the familiarity there. I'm pretty sure he had Janoris Jenkins at some point. He did well.
I think so, yeah.
He did well in Miami, because I'm pretty sure he was one of the main reasons those DBs did pretty well. He's had a lot of success at a lot of stops with developing some guys. So I do need to take into consideration who's going to be developing these DBs. And that's one thing I wish a lot of people would think about more when they're mocking is, is this guy going to be a really good fit for this team? Or, what kind of position coach is he going to have? What kind of schemes is he going to be in? I think a lot of people just think the draft is plug and play. And that's why you have so many misses in the draft, because, I mean, you could have a guy that has unbelievable talent, but if he goes to the wrong spot, it doesn't matter.
Which is why I think the best draft work comes after the fact, after the actual draft. Like, not necessarily after they start playing, but I think you can really evaluate these guys the best when you know what situation they're going in, when you know what type of scheme they're going to be deployed in. But of course, that doesn't get the views. The draft has already happened. No one really cares at that point. They just want to learn more about the guys. So, like, I feel like that's when I get my best work in the draft done. Like, I didn't know a ton about Joseph Asai before he was drafted, but then, they drafted him, and then I started thinking about how he fits in the defense and what his skill set is, and I feel like I got a better picture of him overall because I knew the situation that he was going in.
Right. Well, it's a little bit of a shorter interview with you, but I do appreciate everything. First live guest, first live show. You're welcome to stick around. We're probably just going to do a little back porch bickering about the Reds.
I got to get out of here. 100%.
They were looking good for about
2.5
30,
innings.
35 minutes today.
How many runs to give up in the fourth? I heard it was like 8.
8? Yeah.
We'll put it this way. I saw the home run to go like 4-1 or 5-1. And then I went to the bathroom and came back, and there was bases loaded again, and still nobody was out, and Hoffman was in. And I was like, okay, so we're literally no better off when I left.
Yeah.
Yeah, this is more Reds than I ever want to talk about for the rest of the year. So thank you guys for having me on, though. I really appreciate it.
Yeah, hey,
absolutely. Thank you.
Appreciate you coming on. You ever want to come on again, feel free to let me know.
Absolutely, man. Talk to you guys later.
Yep. Right. Peace. All right. Well, that was our first guest.
I was pretty silent. I didn't have much. I almost jumped in with some Alec Pierce conversation.
You were grinning ear to ear during the Alec Pierce conversation.
Yes, I was.
There, you got someone formidable to mention a player's name that you like. Does that make you feel good?
I think Alec Pierce, I think he's very athletic. He's going to be a good player for somebody.
Maybe.
He's going to be productive.
Maybe.
No, he will be. I'll bet you a Coke.
You bet me a Coke.
I'll bet you a Coke.
I'm trying to lose weight. This is not – you don't want to bet me in sports with the wager being food. Like,
sure, because I'm going to win anyway. You're not going to
No, I'm going to win, and I'm going to be dead at 30. This is what you're going to do to me. Jeez. All right, well, let's segue on.
Let's take a call. Oh,
take a call. Oh yeah, no.
I just thought I'd try that.
Yeah, we don't have a little red button blinking. We don't have anybody. There's nobody even watching right now.
and no.
We got a big old goose egg in the corner.
Oh, we can take our clothes off and do all kinds of funky things.
Okay, let's not do that. I don't appreciate that. But we'll talk about the Reds.
Okay. Well, they did finally. They finally won one on Sunday.
They did, and we had put out our pre-recorded podcast, and it went out literally right after they won a game. So it's like they've lost 10 in a row. I think your quote was, "Nothing's going to happen in the next 48 hours except another loss," and bang, they win one. So maybe that's what we need to do.
That's my schlepperot coming out.
Oh, I did want to bring this up because I will go on record saying this, and I've said it before.
You got a receding hairline.
No, I don't. I've just always had it.
I mean, look at that.
Jeez, thanks. I'm Stephen A. Smith over here. So one of the things that I mentioned is when your team is bad, people start like grasping at straws for like random stuff it's not even really good, but they get all excited about it. Like I was on Twitter, and someone said that they're really excited that for the rosters moves that are going to happen over the next 24 hours, and they really think that there's a good chance they should bring up Matt Reynolds, and they're really excited. I was like, I've never heard of Matt Reynolds.
Yeah, me either. It's like kind of like the draft. Who's Matt Reynolds?
Right. So I looked him up today because we did call him up.
Okay.
You ready?
Sure.
We got a great resume for you.
All right.
He will be 32 at the end of the year.
Oh, that's great for a minor leaguer.
And
he was probably in Bull Durham.
He was DFA'd from the Mets.
Okay. So, they said.
And he was hitting a monstrous
It's a straight number, right? It's a 1.
Well, there's 2 straight numbers. 118 at Syracuse
Oh.
AAA.
Oh. So 1 out of every 9 at bats, you got to be fearful that he might find a hole.
Right. And he had 2 major league hits since the end of the 2017 season. That's our new juice in the arm.
Yes.
Oh my God.
That's our savior.
And they sent down Alejo Lopez to bring him up.
Yeah.
Well,
that kid gives you at least somewhat of a quality at bat.
But why are you sending down a minor league prospect who actually does well in the minor leagues,
right,
who's younger-ish, for a 32-year-old? 118.
Why have they done anything they have done?
I don't know. I don't know.
Can we not get Bob Castellini on here? We are such a powerful sports machine here. We should be able to pull Bob Castellini in, shake him up a little bit, rattle that brain a little bit, and just find out what in the flip they're thinking.
Oh, I didn't notice this. Because we're new to the live stream. We have comments.
I don't see a comment.
Do you see in the top right-hand corner it says comments?
Well, sure I do.
Did you?
But I don't have a comment on my screen.
Well, click on it. Come on.
Holy cow.
We got 2 comments for Dale.
Dale, my main man.
Dale
Altman? Is that I don't have my glasses on.
He is the host of Bengals and Brews, the one I join periodically.
Oh, okay. All right.
He's my guy. Who dey, guys? Let's see. I think I
they
can
took
actually.
Simpson over Deshaun Jackson.
Great.
Ooh.
Well, I guess we're gonna go back to Bengals. Talk about some stings over the years because we
can't. Getting overly excited today about the possibility of whatever that guy's name is.
Carl Loftus.
31.
Carl Loftus.
Okay, that guy.
Carl Loftus on we'll call it the Jake Liscow, Joe Goodberry consensus draft sheet because it is about 50 pages deep because I print mine off because why not? It's get it on my phone and my laptop, so I print it off. I carry it around with me. Carl Loftus, let me pull up the old information here.
Yeah. Educate me on this guy.
He is number 5 on this board overall.
Okay.
Apparently, the NFL, and this came out today from a couple reporters, GMs and teams are not nearly as high on him as it seems the general public is.
What position does this gentleman play?
Pass rusher.
Pass rusher.
Think Trey Hendrickson. But
do we think they're going to try to go after another pass rusher, or are we thinking that they have some confidence in Osai? Even though you only got, a nanosecond of seeing Osai?
Yes and yes. Okay. I know the idea is to get a 3 technique or a 5 technique that can pass rush, which is why you're hearing Logan Hall's name and Jones' name a lot. But if Carl Loftus is falling and he's at 31, think Hendrickson. You'd have another one. That can't be bad, right? You would still need to address a 3 technique in a corner, possibly a tight end. I know they want to go tight end, but I don't think that's as big of a need as everybody thinks, at least with Hayden Hurst on a 1-year deal. But there's been some Carl Loftus news. Good old George.
So what is their biggest need? If anybody in the draft, if you were allowed to take one player to draft and have him fall all the way to 31, who's the one player you would say, if he falls at 31, there's no thinking? It's kind of like the Joe Burrow thing. Who is in that draft that if they just said you can take any one of these guys and put them in the 31 slot, who you putting there? Sauce?
Sauce has a little bit of red flag liability to him because he didn't test. And the production doesn't necessarily show a whole lot because they didn't throw to his side. So there's a lot of tape of him running around with receivers and people not throwing the ball toward him. And then he didn't have any athletic measurements. So I think he's probably really good, but the boxes that we like to check that kind of verify and double check and the two-way verification, if you will, isn't there with him.
Well, and
so
obviously
it's a little scary.
He didn't play a star-studded cast of offensive receivers in his career.
No, but he played very, very well against Alabama. So, I mean, that's something to be said. Now, Jamison Williams wasn't out there, but he did play very well against Alabama. The other corner that I would think about plucking if I could have my druthers and just grab one
Probably
would
Stingley.
be Stingley out of LSU. But
listen to me, like I know what I'm talking about.
Well, I mean, he was probably going to be the number 1 overall pick this year, but he got hurt. So
what's his first name?
Derek.
Is he related to Daryl?
I don't know.
Well, Daryl Stingley back in the day was a defensive back, I believe, and he was paralyzed during an NFL game. And last name Stingley.
This took a really somber turn.
I'm sorry, but that's what when I hear Stingley, that's what I think of is Daryl Stingley.
I'll have to do some research. I don't know.
Okay.
I know he's at LSU. I know if you could have drafted him as a freshman, he would have been number 1 overall as a freshman at 18 years old. I mean,
I'll do some research as you're talking. You'll just see the top of my head for a minute.
That's okay. But I mean, he had ridiculous production early. He's a really good athlete. It's just yet again, there's some question marks because he got hurt. And me, I can't stand players that are hurt and injured. Because what do I say? If you have a hurt player, it means you're paying 2 guys to do the one job. I don't like that. It doesn't sit well with me.
All right, I will stand corrected. Daryl Stingley was a receiver for the Patriots. Jack Tatum from the Raiders delivered the hit that paralyzed him, and he is the grandfather of Derek Stingley Jr.
Well, there you go. Look at
There
you in
you
your
go.
brain. We've got a freaking rainbow connection moment. The more you know. Reading rainbow.
That's kind of cool. My hands were a little close.
Okay. It's a
if I
SpongeBob.
point that way, it goes that way. Yeah,
It's a SpongeBob.
I can almost pat you on the head there.
Here, we can do like a high five. Wait.
There we go.
Yeah! See?
To the house.
This is what happens when nobody watches. We can like mess around with everything and test out banners for the hot buttered popcorn studio.
Speaking of.
Yeah, for those of you that wonder where it came from,
there it is.
We have a hot buttered popcorn machine. I can't zoom. Machine.
I could walk over there to it.
Hey, why don't you bring it over here? We got time. Why don't you give us your best Vanna White?
My best Vanna White?
Yeah.
Well, it's kind of. I have to unplug.
What's behind door number 5? It's a lightly used hot buttered popcorn machine for 5 cents a bag.
The hot buttered popcorn, only 5 cents. And these are the studios.
Retails at, I don't know, whatever. Okay.
You find them in junkyards or antique sales, whatever.
All right. Go ahead and wheel that on back.
All right.
Popcorn. Get your popcorn here.
Cold beer.
Okay.
Anybody remember that vendor would say ice cold gold? Or the best hot dog vendors known to man.
Oh my God, those guys!
Those were great. They were at Great American Ballpark. I don't know if they're there anymore.
Down in like section 120, Bob.
They had those red and white striped shirts, and they had the best little hand-eye coordination for putting the ketchup and the mustard on the hot dogs.
You like the way they handled your hot dog, huh?
Well, yeah.
No, Bob probably sold those for like I don't even know, Cracker Jacks. He traded those to Seattle for a box of Cracker Jacks.
Yeah, right.
Mm.
What else we got?
Well, I want to hear some of your draft opinions. Not necessarily with the names, because I know that you've got a good base of a handful of names. You got to know the popular ones. If I throw something out there like Ike Ekwonu, you probably have no idea who that is.
Nuh-uh.
But
Probably plays for University of Hawaii. I have no idea.
No, he plays for NC State.
Okay.
North Carolina. Wrong
Close.
coast. the
Close enough. Same thing.
exact opposite border of the country. You probably couldn't get any further away except if he was a Maine black bear. But what are you hoping if you could just draw up a perfect ideal story for the draft? But what's your ideal thing? And don't say, well, they draft 7 Hall of Famers.
No, I was going to say I would love to see them take at least 3 of the 8 players that make it and make an impact on the team over the course of the next 4 to 7 years.
Okay.
Impactful players that you don't look back in 4 years and go, well, they blew it that year, because we've seen some of those.
Right.
I like years when you can look back and say at least half the picks or close to half the picks are still really good, solid Sam Hubbard type of contributors.
Right. Like you're not going to draft a Geno Atkins or a Jamar Chase every single year. That doesn't happen. But the guys that I like, and you'll like this too, this is one of your guys a while back. If you can find some guys like Wallace Gilberry.
I was just going to say, I like when they can reach out when the draft is over and pluck somebody off another team like a Wallace Gilberry, and all of a sudden, I mean, he's solid. He gets 7, 8 sacks.
It's
he's
solid.
productive.
It's depth. If he needs to start for a day, he can. Like it's not.
It's kind of like BJ Hill.
Mm-hmm.
Similar situation.
Right. So that's kind of just what I hope for. Even hit rates in the first round are so low. Everybody gets excited for their first round draft picks. First round draft picks rarely hit. They rarely do. The Bengals, especially the last 2, have been unbelievably fortunate. I'll even use the word I don't like. They've been lucky.
Oh,
those don't hit very often.
Here I got a proposition bet out there that I'll just create.
Okay.
Will the Bengals' number 1 draft pick be at the draft?
I don't even know if the Bengals are going to have a number 1 pick.
Well, assuming they pick 31, I wonder if they'll pick a player high profile enough that believes he's a first-round pick that will be at the draft.
Well, if it's somebody like Carl Loftus that's now projected to slip, yeah. If it's they do something weird, probably not. But if you're picking 31, like I said, I'm only 28, but I feel like I've been doing this for a long time. I really started writing and covering about this stuff when I was about 15, right? So, I mean, I'm going on 15 years of experience really paying attention to this stuff. I've never been in a position picking this late.
Right.
I don't know what they're going to do.
I guess if I had my druthers, I hope they take an offensive lineman. I hope they get a player good enough to insert in there, and then because I know there's conversation about one of the 2K guys, Karras or whoever the other one they got,
Kappa
is kind of out of position, and you would shuffle him into position. I want that missing piece. I want Joe Morgan from 1972 to be inserted, and all of a sudden, all the tumblers come into place, and they decide to move in 75. Let's make George Foster, or let's put him in left field, move Pete Rose to third. Have that adjustment take you from good to great. I want to see a piece like that fall into place for us, because we don't know how good our offensive line is going to be. Everybody assumes, and let's hope that it's better than last year. We don't know what is better, though. Better could just be slightly better. I'd like it to be
here's the thing.
In the middle.
On paper, they're significantly better. The issue is with offensive line, it's continuity and feel.
Yeah, it is. It's not just
you've got to have
you
reps
take a
next to each
bunch of
other.
individuals to make it happen.
You can't just plug and play. This isn't pickup basketball.
No, it's somewhat choreographed.
It's very choreographed. So on paper, as long as all's fair, which for the most part it is, you're going to have the same coach and the same scheme, and the players are upgrades. I think they ended last season like 25th or something overall on offensive line.
Yeah, we need to be at least
15. If they're probably about a 16 to 15 right now. And I get all kinds of crap for that. And people are like, "Oh, don't you know how far back they were last year?" Yeah, but that has no bearing on how good they are this year.
Yeah, 16 or 15 is probably 16 or 15, along with another year of seasoning for Joe Burrow, probably takes about 20 sacks away at least. I would think.
Middle of the pack is about 35. He finished around.
We were in the low 50s going
51,
into the playoffs.
51 or 53. Yeah, I mean,
I think
that sounds about right.
If we could get it down to 2 sacks a game.
Yeah. And keep in mind.
And hopefully not a lot of hits on Burrow either.
Well, that's what I was going to say. Not all
the hits
sacks
that really matter.
Not all sacks are equal.
Right.
I mean, you remember the one that Strahan got his record on where
yeah.
the guy took a dive. So, I mean, things happen.
I mean, the hardest hit Burrow took all year was not a sack.
No.
That was when he got absolutely
destroyed by the Packers.
Slobber-knockered by the Packers.
Yes. Slobber-knockered.
Yes.
We got Kerflumped. Is that another one of your words?
Yeah, Kerplunkel, Kerflumped, whatever.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, all discombobulated. Yeah, so I think if you're wanting to go that route, your best option would be Linderbaum. If you're wanting to, do you want to solidify the offensive line further than it is, or do you want to solidify the defensive line, which needs it's a bigger hole depth wise than offensive line?
I want to fix the offensive line. We put so many resources to the defense last year. Let's finish by over-resourcing the offensive line.
Well, if you over-resource,
you got to protect Joe Burrow.
So, do you want a elite level prospect at center, or B+ to A- prospects at left guard?
I'd rather have the center.
So it's Linderbaum, and then you slide Harris over to left guard.
I think the center on the offensive line is probably the most valuable of any of the pieces, kind of like the safety on defense. I still remember, and you're going to know where I'm going with this, going back to that Cleveland Brown game.
Rich Bram.
We lost Rich.
We lost everybody.
We lost Tab Perry and somebody else. We lost 3. Oh, Pollock. Yeah. But when they lost Rich Bram, they lost their quarterback on the offensive line, and that team was not the same after that.
The offensive line was never the same after that. I mean, think of the centers that came through after that. Guycheck, Cook, freaking Billy Price.
Do we have any music or anything for like a score update?
Hold on.
We need to come up with something.
Hold on. Hold on. You ready?
Like a typewriter? What was that?
It says dance music.
That's the Reds have scored 2 runs in the 4th, 2 runs in the 5th. It is a 9-5 ball game.
Oh,
in the bottom of the 7th. But we are within 4. I'm not going to tell you how they scored because I really don't care. I'm just amazed they've got 5 runs.
Well, as John Gall likes to tell me, at GameOn513, see, I got some Twitter tags. This team can really hit, Ty. Whatever. I guess I just let my name out there for everybody, and it's live and recorded. But
there you go.
Santori. Right? You didn't hear that. So you got my first name and half your last name. It's unraveling. Whoops. No, but man, they're so bad.
Oh, yeah.
They're so bad.
I actually thought what's his name? San Martin? San Martin?
San Martin.
Submarine. He actually looked good for the first 8 batters. He was throwing a perfect game. Then all of a sudden, the number 9 hitter came up and hit it in the upper deck. And then
this is one of the other things that I talk about, right? Where I think the Reds have some okay players that would be on good teams, but they're just positioned much higher than they should be.
Right.
San Martin would be a great number 6 starter mop-up guy.
He probably look pretty good at AAA right now.
And guess what? He's like our 2.
Yeah.
Yeah, he could.
I don't know if I've ever seen a guy, though, get 8 guys out in a row. Then he gives up a homer and out, and then he gave up 7 hits in a row.
Well, it's what happened the last time he pitched in San Diego.
7 hits in a row?
When the floodgates open with him, bang, batting practice. He just can't stop it.
Of course, Barry Larkin say, well, they got a few lucky hits here or there. Come on, Barry. Call it as you see it. Don't just take the glasses off.
I don't know if it's glasses or contract, but it kills me.
Yeah.
It absolutely kills me. You have any Bearcat stuff you want to talk about? Anything you want to bring up?
Alec Pierce? No.
We can talk about Alec Pierce.
We don't need to talk about Alec Pierce.
We
don't
can
need to
talk about your man crush on Alec Pierce.
I'm just a little worried how the Bearcats defensive backs are going to be since they've lost Gardner and Kobe Bryant. And now, again, I looked at their schedule. Other than playing the University of Indiana and playing them in Cincinnati, they don't have anybody difficult to play. This is going to be a season. They may run the entire table. We're going to say it right now. This team will never, ever, 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 ever this year be considered for the playoffs. They should not be. I don't care if they win every game by 50 points.
They'll get to like an 8 or a 7, and people will start clamoring, come on, they got to push this up. And then when they don't, everybody's going to say the committee's against us. That's what will happen.
They aren't playing anybody.
They should run the table. Most respectable teams would run the table against that.
And we don't even know, again, we don't know how good Prater's going to be at quarterback.
We don't know our quarterback, our running back, half of the wide receiving core. Beavers is gone. Curtis Brooks is gone. Cook is gone. Bryant's gone. Sauce is gone.
Ritter's gone.
I don't even know who's here. We got the Luke Fickle and the Ficklettes out there.
Well, if they keep playing players that are 23 and 24 years old, they're probably going to be pretty good.
Right. And what he's referring to is we were going over the draft board today, and it seemed like half of the UC guys, most of them, if any of them, didn't test. And a lot of them were a little older than you would like. So maybe that's why UC's had success. They're out there playing.
I think I went to school with a couple of them.
Yeah. Down at Southern Ohio, huh?
There you go. Sock you.
It's a good name.
We didn't even have a mascot. I don't think we had a mascot.
You did? It wasn't like
we didn't have sports. I don't know what we would have had one for.
You didn't have sports. You had sports broadcasting. Who are you going to broadcast?
Right.
Go practice. What? I don't know. T-ball game down there.
Go broadcast mock games, just like you do mock drafts.
You had a mock game?
I said we would just that's what you do is a mock game. You make a game up.
Well, you're always going to sound good if you make it up.
I'm kidding.
Oh, well, I don't know. This was a different era. Y'all had milk delivered and stuff.
There's a guy on the side hitting 2 sticks together. Base hit in the left center field.
Well, isn't that kind of what they did during the baseball strikes?
Yes, they did. That was pretty cool. They did the 27 Yankees against the 76 Reds. Reds won. For what it's worth.
Could
you imagine if they'd have let the Yankees win that one?
I think this year's Reds team might lose an imaginary game.
Yeah, they'd find a way to blow it.
Okay, we have the 1981 Cincinnati Reds against the 2022 Reds. We're just going to cancel the game. We're not going to play it. This is not worth it.
Okay, we're done with the Reds.
We'll talk about Pierce. Tell everybody about your love crush with Alex Pierce.
The guy's fantastic. He can long jump 200 feet, and he can high jump, out of an elevator shaft. He never drops passes except for maybe one against Alabama in the end zone, but that's okay. That game didn't mean much. No, I think he's going to be a really good receiver for somebody. He's not expected to be great, but I think he's going to be one of those guys that's pretty good.
I wouldn't say he's not expected to be great. I'm not super high on him.
Well, I don't think he's any team's number one wide receiver.
No,
I don't think there's a single team in the NFL has got him as number one. So that's what I'm talking about. He's not supposed to be Jamar Chase. He's not supposed to be Jefferson. But I think he's going to be really, really solid.
I'm leafing through my information here. I'm going to drop some knowledge on you here in just a second. I think we have him kind of smack dab in the middle of our receivers. We have him right behind George Pickens and right ahead of Calvin Austin III.
George Pickens plays for Georgia?
Georgia, yes. And
I
really like George Pickens.
He looked really good against UC 2 years ago.
Here's one you won't know. Who does Jalen Tolbert play for?
Tulsa.
South Alabama.
I was really close.
I mean, geographically, sure.
Where is Tulsa?
Arkansas?
I don't know where is that. And you're the one that says geographically.
I know it's in the South.
I mean, it could be north of Canada for all I know.
Oklahoma. It's one of those tornado states.
Oh, Oklahoma.
Oh, my God.
9-5, top of the 8th. Our bullpen is holding them down.
You know what you need to do?
What's that?
You need, and Jay suggested this, you need to rotate.
I need better coloring. I can tell you that. This light thing isn't set right.
You need to rotate some jerseys.
Rotate them?
Yeah.
Why, are they getting too done on one side?
No, you just...
Do you know how hard it is to put them things on those mannequins?
Oh, you poor thing. I wish I had
hard.
mannequins.
You gotta pin them up from the inside to make them tight. It's not just it's not like you're putting a shirt on. There's some finessing. There's some finessing. I don't have a Joe Burrow jersey. If Joe Burrow would be kind enough to come on Rally Around the Natty, I'll buy a Joe Burrow. I already have one, but I'll buy another Joe Burrow jersey just to let him go. Jay,
You can't do that, can you? Where are you going?
Just to let him put one of these guys.
An autograph?
Yeah.
He already autographed your balls. What more do you?
Joe Burrow pool ball.
He's already autographed your balls. What more do you want?
I want him to autograph my my Super Bowl football.
I'm sure
that's what I want.
I'm sure he loves autographing that stuff.
I'm sure he does.
Well, I've reached out to Dale, our all-time number one commenter.
Yeah. Where'd he go? He gave us 10 minutes of his life and he went away.
I know, Dale.
Dale, if you're still awake, just type shit or something. Just put
Dale,
something on there.
Where are you? I'm texting.
Where are our relatives that are supposed to be listening to this? We have no friends. We have nothing.
Yeah, I was told that, Anise and PJ and Sam and Trevor and, all these people that love us and hang on our every single freaking word.
You know what the problem is?
Wait, and we
got
got
how to find us.
Goose egg.
They don't know how to find us.
We're on YouTube. We're on Twitter. We're on Spot. We're on everything. I've covered the gamut everywhere. I don't know what else to do.
Are we on CBS, NBC, Fox, ABC, ESPN?
I can secure that
Disney
deal.
Plus?
I can quit my day job. Lord almighty, that would be fantastic. So we need to start thinking about, do we want to bring in friends and family as guests? Do we want them live? Do we want to do the little phone call where you could kind of hear them? What's your thought process there?
Phone call.
Phone call.
We can start with a phone call. We can bring them in live.
Who's the first phone call? We're going to
PJ.
put that on the hot seat. PJ's the first phone call.
PJ's the first call because he will give us the most to argue about.
Oh, my God. Did you have to mute that text today? Because you stopped replying.
Oh, it was annoying. It just kept going and going. I was having a bad episode at work today. It wasn't going so well. And then that was happening. My phone almost went whirligigging out onto the main road in front of the business.
For the business.
The business.
Well, I'll try. I've sent a request to Dale if he wants to join us. He's not answering me, which tells me he's probably with Melissa right now or mowing the lawn. He told me he was having a great time mowing the lawn the other day.
Mowing the lawn.
Mowing the lawn. So I was trying to get Dale to
He's got
come
headlights on that thing.
Dale's a special guy. I don't know if he does or not.
He mows the lawn by feel.
He's
reaching in front of his lawnmower as he's cutting the grass.
He's got like a stick.
Yeah.
Feels like it's a 1/4 inch high out here.
He's got a seeing eye dog walking in front of him. What? Watch that. Watch the leg. Watch that leg.
Here, what we'll do the next time we want to bring on a video guest. Oh, Dale text me.
Oh, text you. What about this?
He said I had to get off. I'll be on tomorrow. There is no tomorrow, Dale.
It's a live machine. He's going to be on tomorrow. I'm not going to be here tomorrow.
I'm not going to be here tomorrow. What is tomorrow?
Let's just be pompous, elitist athletic likes. They don't pay me enough to do this tomorrow.
I don't get paid at all. I'm losing money.
They don't pay you?
You're getting paid?
No.
No, we'll bring Dale and Derek on here, and they can continue
my
their.
hair is really shiny.
Well, you're Silver Fox, man. Wait till you take your shirt off and you're bioluminescent outside.
Ooh.
You're just glowing. We'll bring the Bengals and Brews guys on here. Maybe we'll get Jeff on here. See if he can, yell at us a little bit.
Who's Jeff?
Strawberry Ice.
Strawberry Ice? Okay. I know the name Strawberry Ice. I don't know Jeff.
His name's Jeff.
Okay.
Now, here, I'm going to put you on the hot seat right now. Hot seat. Do you feel it?
Hot seats are good.
Is it warm? Is it warm?
You'll never make it hot. Go ahead. What do you got?
Are you going to go in with everybody on Bengal Twitter, since you're trying to be Bengal Twitter with all you lost half your followers the other day. I don't know what you did.
Yeah, what did I do? I lost 10% of my followers. I'm down to 18. It's an exclusive club.
We'll pump that up. Don't worry. I know a couple people. But Bengals Twitter, and I am including you in Bengals Twitter, we all kind of get asked to donate $25 around August. And it goes.
Oh, that's a hot seat. You're talking about money coming out of my pocket.
Yeah, I told you.
That's a hot seat.
We're gonna warm this biddy up right now.
That's a hot seat there.
It last year
with ask Kim.
Last year it went to the Joe Burrow Food Bank, and we played fantasy football. It was $25 buy-in, and we had a live fantasy football draft. It was down at one of the sports bars. Live fantasy football draft.
Before all the money went to the Joe Burrow Food Bank.
Yes.
I heard Joe Burrow's name.
Yeah.
I thought he was playing fantasy football with you. Wait a minute. That seems like a conflict of interest.
No. Well, they all do.
I know. There must not be a sign in the locker room that says you can't bet on baseball.
No, they don't have, what is that, Rule 21A or whatever?
Hold on a second. Kim? Never mind.
Okay. Well,
I wanted to bring Shiesty on.
Are you going to join us this year? Donate $25, and it's typically around August.
It's fantasy football?
Yeah.
That's about as cool as the draft. I don't play fantasy football.
Ooh, you're going to get in trouble.
I cannot select a player, and then that guy is playing against the Bengals, and I sit here with people in my basement, and they're going, "Oh, he got 10 yards." I feel like reaching over and just punching him right in the face. He can get 10 flipping yards next week, not this week. Break his neck. I mean, come on.
Oh my God. Don't say break his neck, please.
Did I say that?
You did.
Bruise his neck. Bruise
Sure.
his neck.
Bruise his neck. Well, will you do it? It goes to a good cause, and we can always use an extra person. There's a few leagues. The live draft is fun. There's typically a live podcast. Jeff did it with Derek last year, and we all met down at Kitty's, and we had those really good wings, which you haven't had their wings yet. Kitty's, not a sponsor, but
not yet.
Send the check. Send the check, Kitty's.
I want to try those Cosmo wings.
The Cheetos wings.
You know what's the place called?
I think
Again,
it's like
not a sponsor. But
Send the check. Cosmic Wings, I think, is what it's called. The Cheeto dusted ones.
How many viewers are we up to?
0.
There we are. We're consistent.
See, we will never be worse off than we are right now.
We can say whatever we want to say.
No, you can't.
Sure we can.
No, don't do it. Well, I think this was a good, fun first live experience. Are you still trying to get shiesty?
Well, I heard footsteps. Kim, we need shiesty. We need shiesty. We need shiesty.
We did get someone to retweet our podcast, though.
They did.
Yeah,
was that another friend?
They retweeted the live video.
What live video? What we're doing now?
Yeah.
You can see this.
Yeah, it's just like if you're scrolling through the
You're
Twitter
an Ice
feed.
Station Zebra over there. You've got it all.
Oh, I see everything.
I can't see a darn thing. I didn't know I had comments.
Yeah. So it looks like Bengals and Brews retweeted.
Who's this StreamYard guy?
What? What are you talking about?
The first comment.
Oh, jeez.
We got StreamYard from Jersey.
Yeah, there you go. Who's this
StreamYard.
guy?
That guy.
Oh my God, we don't look like morons at all.
Did you?
What are you laughing at?
I'm having an Ethan Kilmer moment. Holy cow. Oh.
Good.
Oh.
I hear it.
I hear shiesty.
Cat sounds like it's dying.
Come here, shiesty. Come on. Come here. Come here.
I hope for the sake of the podcast and live video, she attacks your face.
Look at shiesty. Our Bengal cat.
Yeah.
Yeah.
She's getting bigger already.
Yeah.
Shiesty? Hi.
Joe Shiesty. Yeah.
Okay.
We need that Bengal sound. That.
What, the local 12
Yes.
coming back from preseason, you get the stupid drums and a wow.
All right. That was her debut.
Okay. Bye. All right. Well, I think it was a good first live attempt.
Yeah, it was the first live attempt. Yeah. The good thing is we don't have any viewers, so it's pretty easy.
Not yet. There's no
A year from now, we'll probably have about 1 million people watching.
We could have like 9. But it was fun. Ashley just sent me a grotesque picture of her foot with a hole in it. So I need to go and attend to my wife and see how she's doing. She sent me 3 text messages. Are you almost done? Are you done yet? And here's a picture of my foot.
Yeah.
Okay.
Blood is oozing out.
Yeah.
She has a bucket right now, about a third of the way full with blood.
Yeah.
All right. No, this was cool. This was easy. This was fun. We had a guest. I didn't know what we were talking about, but that's probably going to happen a lot to me. But that's okay.
Well, we'll bring on some baseball people next time. You want me to do that?
I don't want baseball people.
What? If you don't want baseball people, you don't want to talk in the draft. What the hell?
No, I don't want to talk about draft. I want to talk about football. I want to talk about
you want
the
football.
Football. Not foosball. Football.
Football.
Bengals. Who Dey?
Footy ball.
Burrow, Chase, Higgins, Mixon, those boys.
Okay.
We need to get them all on this. I'll make them all ribeye steaks. I can make a mean ribeye. I'll make them all ribeyes. They can come over, eat for free, just pop their head in, give it the old, hey, we can do that.
Okay, Jeff Ruby. We'll make it happen.
Yeah, I'll do a Jeff Ruby to him.
Okay. That sounded weird. All right. Without further ado, I am going to bed after I drink my last tea. It was a great first show from the Hot Buttered Popcorn Studios. Would you like to plug the Ken Anderson Alliance one more time?
We do need again to talk about the Ken Anderson Alliance for the wonderful cause of autism. I know we still are quite a ways away from where we would like to be donation-wise. Every dollar counts. Every dollar would be wonderful. I don't know, it's just autism is near and dear to my heart because of my son. And I'm sure there are many, many, many people in greater Cincinnati that are fortunate enough to have children that may be, I don't want to say anything negative. It's autism it's a difficult thing, not only for the child, but for the parents, but you learn to adapt to everything. And what I love about the kids with autism is there is an innocence about them. That's probably the best way for me to describe that. I love the innocence because they never stop being a child. And I love that.
Do you have a favorite funny story about Kyle that you want to share? Put you on the spot.
Oh boy.
I've got a couple.
You might want to start with one. Let me think if I can come up with something that's really, really funny.
It could just be something with his quirks and, whatnot. I got a good one, whenever you're ready.
Go ahead. Go ahead. Start.
So we were fortunate enough when I was in the 8th grade to go to Hawaii. And I think you know where I'm going with this.
Oh, yeah.
So
I won.
You won a trip to Hawaii, which is fantastic.
No. I won what you're ready to talk about, I think.
Well, there's two great things that happened in Hawaii. You lost one of them. Well, I'm going to talk about the nice one. And we were fortunate enough to go to Hawaii. And, we had this nice hotel kind of on the beach with a lagoon, kind of like one of those like crescent shaped lagoons, right? And there was a little like tiki hut with a surfboard lessons. And it wasn't like we're going out surfing on waves because they didn't have huge waves where we were at. But, they taught you how to kind of like ride on your stomach or, kind of straddle the board and whatnot.
I know where you're going.
And so it's me, my dad, and Kyle. And I tried so damn hard to get on this board. This was like 150 pounds ago when I was moderately athletic. For those of you that don't know, we are kind of an athletic family. My grandfather was very athletic, very fast, very good swimmer. On another side of my family, I do have an Olympian. She played handball and in the WNBA. So there are some athletic genes that run through this vessel. Trying to straddle this surfboard, you tip off to the left, you tip off to the right, you start tipping backward, the board shoots straight up in the air, and you do a backflip, and everything goes wrong. You hit your head on the lava rocks, you cut your feet, you get sand in your crack. Everything's just a nightmare. Dad gets on. He's doing okay. I think he got on his belly. He may have got up on his knees and paddled around a little bit, showing off for all the luau girls in Hawaii. We were like, whew, this was fun. And they're like, yeah, just leave the surfboard in the lagoon. It's not going anywhere. We get about halfway out of the water and turn around. Kyle, who got every ounce of athleticism in this family, and it is not fair, is not only on the surfboard, he's laying sideways like this, like you would on a couch, perfectly across the surfboard, spinning like a game show showcase in the lagoon, just Hey guys, perfect balance. Not a thing to worry about. And we're going, what? We tried for 30 minutes to get on that board, and Kyle just first try, whatever, no big deal. Yes, I can't believe it.
That's a good one.
Then you pushed him when we were running on the hills.
Well, he was a little ahead of me. I wasn't going to let him beat me now.
So we were on a hike in the mountains somewhere. This is the same trip in Hawaii. We're like looking for waterfalls or something. Excuse me, if I remember correctly. And Kyle doesn't really run. Motor function's not quite there, but he kind of like gallops. I call it a horse gallop. It's kind of like a skip, right? And he was kind of galloping, kind of, getting into it, bouncing up and down. And you were kind of slightly jogging behind him. And he went to give him a tap on the back, like, yeah, buddy, let's go. Good job. And that slight tap on the back was enough to throw him off kilter. And boom, face plant right in the ground. And he ate it.
It was kind of a rocky surface.
Oh, yeah, it was rocky. He freaking just ate it. Good job, Dad. So what's your funny story?
I don't really have a funny story. I think it's comical at dinner time to watch him eat when he has a little oopsies and he misfires on a scoop, and then something will fall on his lap or on his belly, and he has to almost like retrace the steps.
Right.
He'll have to pick it up and scrape it back across the plate before he eats it, or scoop it up no matter where it's at with his spoon before it makes its way into it. He just can't pick it up and put it in his mouth.
No, he's got to like
be a certain.
He has to relive the experience in reverse.
Yes, he does
to
do
straighten
that.
everything out.
Yeah,
like I saw him one
puts
time.
It in slow-mo reverse.
I saw him one time. This is the last thing we'll get off of here. He was over at my apartment about, I think it was a year ago. It wasn't anything recent. But we have a gate because we have dogs and we don't want them going to the carpeted areas because they pee and poop like demons. And Kyle, he's trying to straddle the gate and his stomach scraped the wall and the gate touched his inner thigh.
Oh, no.
And he had to go back over the gate. And he was trying his darndest to get his stomach to touch up against the wall while he's straddling this gate. And I didn't know what was going on. And I walked around the corner with a Coke to give him just something to drink. And he's standing straight over the gate like you would straddle one of those like old horse pony things that you would get at like Johnny's Toys. And his shirt's lifted up trying to touch the wall. He is laser focused on the wall and straddling this gate. And I'm like, Kyle, what are you doing? And he will not break focus until he can get his stomach to just touch the wall the right way while he's got a foot on each side of the gate.
He's got to get out of that moment.
Oh my God. And then he finally got out of it. This was like a 10-minute experience. And God love him. It's part of the OCD. So I shouldn't laugh at that part. But if you can't find a sense of humor about it, you're going to be frustrated a lot. And being that he's my older brother, I'm just going to make fun of him. Every once in a while, he'll get stuck, and I'll like put a marble on his shoulder. I'm just like, all right, don't let it fall. Like, see what you're going to do. And he's just like, he'll get super stuck. Oh, I'm a jerk. I just broadcast that to the world. It's fine. But I point being, we love Kyle. Autism is near and dear to our hearts.
Yes, it is.
And if you can find any way to donate just $1, we've got hoodies, we've got t-shirts, we've got mugs. And like I said, minimum $10 donation. And this goes through the end of the year or end of November, I think we said. You do a minimum $10 donation, you are in the drawing for the custom Bengal jersey. I will, if you're local, I'll go down to Cook's with you. We'll put in the order and I'll have them mail it to you. I think the budget's like $300 for it or something because that's what their jerseys run. But we'll make sure it happens. I got no problem. I would love to go get a jersey right now and hold it up and be like, hey, this is what we got. Donate. I think that would probably work a little better. But I don't know what you're going to want. You might want that 90s Jamar Chase jersey with the solo one. You might want the white jersey right now with number 9 on the back that says Shiesty. I don't know what you want, but I'll get it for you if you win the contest. So, all donations are welcome.
Yep. One last thing. Speaking of jerseys, I was at one of the local sporting good places that typically handle the authentic Bengal gear.
Mm-hmm.
And they said they are yet to hear anything from the Bengals or from their supplier of any type of alternate jersey. So they don't think there's an alternate jersey coming. They think they would have already seen it or had some level of ordering in advance for these jerseys.
That's probably a good sign one way or the other, or a bad sign, depending
Yeah,
on where you're at.
it's probably a sign it's not happening.
All right. Well, what do we got on the agenda for next week beyond 6 more Reds losses?
Well, next week, next Tuesday would be, what would the date be? The 3rd?
We'll have the new, as Ashley, my wife calls all new.
Oh, a live sneeze.
My wife calls all new players. Bless you. My wife calls all new players her chickens. She calls them her chickens, her babies, her baby chickens. So we will have, by Tuesday, probably about 10 or 15 between draft picks and undrafted free agents. We'll have new chickens to discuss.
I think we ought to back it up to Wednesday.
Wednesday. Why Wednesday?
Wednesday, May 4th, they're announcing all the opponents for the international games in the NFL. And there's been a lot of conversation about the Bengals possibly being one to be against either Tampa or the Saints.
Okay, so join us next week to see if the Bengals have made an international game and how I feel negatively about it.
Yeah, I hope they don't.
It's not that I don't enjoy spreading the NFL worldwide, because I do. It just throws me off my groove, man. Like, Sunday is a very ritualistic day for me.
Yeah. And they've never won it. I don't think they've won an international game yet.
We tied one.
We tied.
That was the greatest moment ever. We tied with a team that doesn't have a name.
Yes.
Go team! That is the most European thing. We tied in Europe with the football club.
Yes. Apropos.
God. All right. Well, we'll talk about that next week. Well, I'm sure we'll talk about who our new chickens are. And the week after that, that's the schedule release.
Yep.
And
schedule release is on the 12th, so that means that we probably shouldn't go until the next Thursday. The 12th is Thursday.
You know what we could do? We could do our regular show, just like the mics like we normally do at your place Tuesday. And then Thursday we could go live during the schedule release.
Yeah. We could.
I like that idea. And then you can tell me what plane ticket you're going to buy me to what city.
I'm going to buy myself one for Tampa if they're not in England.
Well, you're going to buy us one when we go to Tampa.
Uh-huh.
And then we're going to take a 90-minute drive over to Disney World.
I figured we'd go to New England.
We'll talk about that.
And take a 90-minute train ride.
To go 8 feet.
Yeah.
We'll talk about that next time. We had a great experience in Boston with the Dunkin' Donuts in every corner. But without further ado, as you like to say, give me one of your almighty hoo-days.
Hoo-day!
Hoo-day! Is that it?
We're out.
Well, hold on. What's your outro song? You got to sing it.
I don't have an outro.
You got it. We do this every week. What's your outro song?
Oh, my goodness. I don't know.
Start singing.
Somebody needs to give me songs to sing. And hopefully something
all zero of our followers will give you a song to sing.
Exactly.
Give me one.
I don't have one.
Oh, my God. This is the longest outro.
Yes, it is. Cincinnati, Cincinnati, we got a team right here in town. Ain't gonna ever let us down. Who they think gonna beat them Bengals? You can pour the rest into that.
Nobody. All right. Bye.